Hey there, friends. So this is obviously a very different video than what I usually have. I am outside at my family's house, actually. So I'm staying here a couple of days. Family member had a knee replacement, and being that I'm a physical therapy assistant, I wanted to try and help out as much as possible while we waited for home health to come in. But I am out here enjoying the lovely backyard and the peacefulness. And I wanted to make this video totally like off the cuff because I want to talk about overwhelm. We're all very familiar with it. None of us are strangers to what it is to feel overwhelmed. And so I wanted to just share with you some of the ways that I handle and deal with overwhelm in hopes that maybe some of you out there might find it helpful and maybe try some of the ideas that I share with you. So there's really nothing special to the ideas that I'm going to share with you, but the whole process is what I have found over the years has made the biggest difference to me. And especially when dealing with overwhelm, I'm sure many of you can relate. Your mind is just full of all of the to-dos, the what-ifs, the deadlines, the priorities. And it really leaves your mind feeling so heavy and not knowing where to begin, really. So the very first thing that I always do when I am in a state of overwhelm is I grab my journal or just a simple blank sheet of paper and I brain dump everything that is weighing on my mind. So that way you kind of, if you imagine your brain, actually, this is great because my life coach did this drawing for me one day when I was talking to her about overwhelm. She did this brain, and then all of my thoughts that were on my mind, all of my responsibilities within the brain. And of course, if you can imagine that, it takes up space. So the little bit of space you're left with after all of these thoughts, are collecting in there doesn't really leave you much room for processing new information and for making sense of all of the thoughts. So if we can release these thoughts by getting them out onto paper, then we're slowly opening up that space, emptying out the brain. So that way we have so much more room to then bring in new information and ways that we can handle the overwhelm that we're feeling. So I loved the diagram that she drew for me. And when you see something like that on paper, it just makes sense to you, whether it's you're drawing something out to, make sense of, like what I just explained, the whole benefit of writing your thoughts on paper and how it opens up your brain for new thoughts, or if it's just really prioritizing, making a list of your top priorities and going through them one by one, so that way you don't feel like you're missing anything. I know for me, that's always a worry, is what am I missing? When you write it down on paper and do this simple brain dump, it really changes your perspective and it brings this sense of having it together, even if you don't feel it necessarily at that time. I always feel after I do a brain dump that I have my stuff together a lot more so than beforehand. So a brain dump is very, very powerful in my eyes, and I always turn to that as the first step. Another thing that I do, you've heard me talk about the importance of purposeful time in nature. So like right now, for example, just to help keep my overwhelm in check, I'm making sure to get outside with purposeful time. So just time with silence, time to just listen to the birds and to listen to the wind and feel the sun. So that way I'm taking myself out of my overwhelming thoughts, out of my mind, and bringing it back to my body and my senses. And so purposeful time in nature is another way that I manage overwhelm, and I find it to be I mean, extremely relieving. Every time I come out and I spend 5 or 10 minutes, I always kind of bring myself back to a center of calm by doing so, by connecting to nature. And so special time, purposeful time in nature is, I think, should be a huge priority on people's lists when you're trying to, live your best life, when you're trying to be your best self through working through certain emotions and fears. A lot of clarity can come from just spending some time in nature. And another thing that I like to do in nature, as well as just within the home, and has been a major influencer on managing my anxiety, is 557 breath work. And I've done a video on that. I'll leave that linked in the cards, because the 557 breath work really helped me to feel in control of the anxiety that I used to experience quite frequently. And I'm sure many of you know how this can be. The fear in the back of your mind, if you were to go out in public worrying about having a panic attack or anxiety attack out of nowhere, can cause you to really just say, okay, no, I'm just not going to go out in public. I'm just not going to go to this event or this party that I would love to go to, but I'm worried about having anxiety or panic attack. And so that was something that I really struggled with. And I said no to many things that I wanted to say yes to because of that. And once I learned this 557 breath work, the power that I was able to take back was like nothing else. And the benefit of this breath work is that it regulates the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. Again, I go into more detail in my video, but just to kind of quickly touch on it. If you're experiencing an anxiety or a panic attack, you're instantly pulled into that fight or flight, and that's your sympathetic nervous system. In order to reset that, you use breath work, and within minutes, you can reset your system to be more into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and relaxation state. So the breath work is a super powerful tool whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, that's turning into anxiety and elevating your stress levels, and you want to just get a quick hold on it. The breath work is my go-to if I need a quick fix. The journaling is awesome if I want to process things and think about it and just game plan, but not for like my instant relief that I sometimes need with anxiety. And that's where I go to my breath work. So between journaling or brain dumping, spending purposeful time in nature and just connecting to the natural world, and doing my breath work, that is how I manage my overwhelm, and I'm able to quickly get back on track and make sense of the things that I'm needing to prioritize and areas that I might be possibly dropping the ball or forgetting about. It just brings me so much more clarity and peace to my mindset that I feel like I kind of have my stuff together again. So I hope this was helpful for some of you out there. I know that, these tools aren't necessarily like genius tools, but they are life-changing. And I wanted to share just how life-changing they are for me, and that I do use these tools. Everything that I preach to my coaching clients, I practice. Like, these are the things that changed my life, and I want these tools to also change your life if you have not yet experienced them. So I would love to hear in the comments if you have any questions for me, or even any video ideas. If you want me to go into more detail about a specific topic, leave that down below in the comments, because I would love to do more videos that are geared towards what you guys are really needing and wanting. And as always, I appreciate you all so very much. I'll see you again soon in my next video. Bye.